I think we should do an every Black Sabbath album tier list. Doesn't that sound like fun? Black Sabbath's first album called Black Sabbath. Look at that. There's a witch, there's a building. Came out in 1970. Was it awesome? You bet it was awesome. It was actually unbelievable. So, what do we got? What tracks do we have here? Now, this album basically invented heavy metal, right? There was no metal before this. We had Black Sabbath. It was slow, it was plodding. You got the tritone there. You got the minor key. I mean, it invented heavy metal. Like right there, that gives a lot of credit. You know, we have what else do we have? NIB. I mean that right there, that's a classic. That's an absolute banger. The Wizard, the Wizard, that's an overlooked one. That's a really good one. The downsides to this album. They were just starting out. They didn't know what they were doing. This thing was recorded a total 12 hours. You could hear it. There's a cover there where Ozzy's singing the wrong words. It's but it's thoroughly enjoyable all the way through, I think. Um, do I think this makes it S tier? Do I think this makes it S tier? When you take it in the time, it's got to be S tier. Literally invented heavy metal. I'm sorry. It just did. It's just that influential. All right. So what do we have after that? Okay, same year, 1970. Okay, released 18th of September, 1970. We have Paranoid. All right, Paranoid. Um, what do we got here? We got maybe what might be one of the best albums ever made. Um, like if you take Black Sabbath like away, it's just all right. So it has Iron Man on it, and that might be the most famous, greatest heavy metal song. And then it has a song that's even better on the same album, which is War Pigs. Um, and then it has Hand of Doom and Electric Funeral and Fairies Wear Boots. The whole album is bangers. The title track, super famous song. And then Planet Caravan. There was a really cool Pantera cover of Planet Caravan. Um, it has to be the best album they ever made. Top tier, S tier. We're gonna keep Black Sabbath at S tier. Um, but I mean I don't know. When I was a teenager, I listened to this album like a million times. I think I know how to play all the songs on the guitar. It's just that good. I'd learned about music listening to it. Like I'm like, what makes these songs awesome? And then I'd like figure out the theory. It's just paranoid. Paranoid. Great. Just top tier album. So after Paranoid, we have 6th of August, 1971. That wasn't even a year. They get 3 albums in like a year and a half. We have Master of Reality. Okay, Master of Reality. Let's go through the track list of this one. What's on here? Sweet Leaf. Everyone knows that one. Okay, what else? Into the Void. That right there is just such an epic metal song. We have Lord of this World. This Lord of this World. Metal as hell. Right there. Children of the Grave. Children of the Grave. That's another one. Like, okay, Sweet Leaf. Children of the Grave. Lord of this World. Into the Void. After Forever. It's just all bangers again. The whole album. The whole album. So okay, this is their third album. Here's where like it's a little bit more mature. Still that signature sound. I'm sorry. 3 S tiers in a row. I came out swinging. What do you want from me? All right. After that, September 1972, we have Volume 4. Now, here's maybe my first controversial opinion on Volume 4. Volume 4 sucks. F tier. Okay, why does it suck? There's actually a decent number of good songs on there. Okay, we got Snowblind. We have Tomorrow's Dream. Okay, those are great. And there's two like kind of more experimental tunes, Wheels of Confusion and Under the Sun. And those are awesome. But the whole album together is a mess. Like half of the songs are not in tune with the other half. I don't mean like they did like, oh, these are tuned to E and these are tuned to E flats. They're just like slightly out of tune. And the whole album together just doesn't, it just sounds shockingly inconsistent. Now, I don't know if this is a recording issue. I could listen, I put it on and I just can't get through it, despite the fact that there's some decent songs on there. So, Volume 4, F tier. Up next, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. So Sabbath Bloody Sabbath redeemed itself a bit. Now this, I think, they started tuning down lower and Ozzy started singing higher. You the title track, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath. That's really where like Ozzy started to develop his Ozzy sound. Like you could tell, like listening to that, you go, "Oh, this guy." That's why he was able to launch a successful solo career after everything kind of went to hell with Black Sabbath. Overall, it was maybe a little less interesting than the previous albums. Minus, say, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath and maybe Killing Yourself to Live. And then Who Are You? They just kind of did a Black Sabbath song, but with some synths, and that they were kind of messing around there. And it's good. It's definitely good. But it's a B tier. B tier. B tier. All right. After Sabbath Bloody Sabbath, we have July 28th, 1975. Sabotage. Now, I think this album shows them really maturing their songwriting style. There's a track about how they got screwed by their record company. And there's just two absolute Sabbath classics with Hole in the Sky and Symptom of the Universe. And end to end, it's another one of those fantastic ones. Is it S tier? No. I think the time for that maybe has passed. But it's A tier. It's awesome. You should definitely listen to it. Hole in the Sky and Symptom of the Universe and stronger songwriting. Yeah. Keep up the good work. All right. After that, things started to go a little south for the band. They started not getting along very well. Technical Ecstasy. What happened here? Ozzy left for a while, and they brought in I don't remember. They brought in somebody, and then Ozzy wanted to come back, and then they had to rewrite all the songs, and it wasn't as bad as all that sounds. I think it's a pretty solid album. There's All Moving Parts Stand Still had a good groove. It's getting like they're trying to evolve their sound and follow trends a little bit, and that kind of sucks. And that's, I think, maybe its downside, but it's still good. I'm gonna give this B tier. I think it's probably not as good as South Black Sabbath, but it's definitely worth listening to. All right, Never Say Die. This is the last album that Ozzy sang on. It's a little bit of a mess. Bill Ward sang a tune. I think he sang a tune on the previous album too, didn't he? It's not the worst. It's way better than Volume 4. It's way more listenable. Um, little less interesting in the songwriting department. Less experimental stuff. Um, C tier. All right, Heaven and Hell. Ozzy gets fired for real this time. This is April 18th, 1980. And they hire, from the band Rainbow, Ronnie Dio. And what happens? Ronnie Dio resurrects that band. This album, if you listen to it today, maybe it's not as heavy. Maybe it doesn't quite sound as interesting. They went back to their roots a little bit, minus the blues, more of the metal. But it was kind of a miracle. This band that had been meandering for years releases Heaven and Hell, and it's just awesome. S tier album. S tier album. S tier album. Okay, 1981, we have Mob Rules. Heaven and Hell's follow up. Not as famous, I think, but I think it's better. This might be my second controversial opinion. This album is better than Heaven and Hell. Sign of the Southern Cross, that's a great track. Mob Rules is a great track. Falling Off the Edge of the World. Die Young? That was this album? Wait, or was that Heaven and Hell? I'm confused. Die Young was Heaven and Hell. Okay. I'm like, that's too many good songs. Let me try to sort my S tier. Paranoid's definitely number one. I'm going to go with Mob Rules is number 2. Then I'm going to go Master of Reality. Then Heaven and Hell. Then Black Sabbath. Okay. This is looking good. This is looking good here. Born Again. So Born Again, what happened? There was a big falling out with Dio. He started his own his solo band, which was awesome. Good for him. Made some of the best albums of the 80s. Good job, Dio. But how did Black Sabbath bounce back? Well, they made Born Again. And Born Again, they got Bill Ward to come back. The previous 2 albums, Vinny Appice had played drums. Geezer was still playing bass. So this sounds like it was going to be an awesome album. They got Ian Gillan from Deep Purple to sing. And his vocal style just did not gel. And that wasn't necessarily the doom for the album, because it still could have been awesome. But the album is just horribly boring, minus one track. Disturbing the Priest. Disturbing the Priest is an S tier Sabbath song. It's right up there with all the best of them, except it's even heavier and it's maybe it's the heaviest song to date. S tier song should have just been a single. Rest of the album puts you to sleep. I'm going to give this a D tier. Go listen to Disturbing the Priest. All right. After Born Again, a few years went by. There was an album that was just supposed to be a Tony Iommi solo album called Seventh Star. Record company said it'll sell better if it's Black Sabbath, so it's Black Sabbath. Glenn Hughes sang on it. It's the most forgettable album. It sucks. It's worse than Volume 4. Sorry, Tony. It's just the worst. Okay, so we have now The Eternal Idol. This was 1987. So Black Sabbath tried to reboot itself again. They got Ray Gillen, who was a tremendous singer, maybe not right for the style of Black Sabbath, probably, but they ended up not working out. So they wrote this whole album. Ray Gillen drops out. And then they get Tony Martin, who made a whole bunch of albums with him after that. Now, this is another case of them, I think, trying to follow trends. You hear a little bit more keys. It's not as overall as heavy. Production isn't as heavy, but solid album. Really good. Opened strong with The Shining. Ancient Warrior is awesome. A couple like forgettable 80s tunes, but I think it's still a B tier album. I think it's still really good. After that, we have Headless Cross. So this is your first full Tony Martin collaboration with the band. It's better on tone, right? Like it's more dark and doomy with the Headless Cross, and it closes with an epic Nightwing. Excellent. There's a lot of good songs, but it just feels like it's missing something. When you just listen to it and you go, eh. It's also 1989, right? And there hasn't been much progression in the band, and they're kind of limping along. It's 89. Think about what metal has been happening. Like Black Sabbath, okay, we were in the beginning. Black Sabbath invents metal. Now it's 89, and there's all kinds of quality metal. And Black Sabbath releases an okay album that's just kind of okay. That's just kind of C tier. That's still metal. You should still maybe listen to it. And then Tyr. Tyr takes a Norse god tone story to it. Songwriting, I think, is better. It's a little more upbeat than Headless Cross, which sounds like it should be a bad thing. But in this case, it's a more listenable album. It's not as good as Eternal Idol. It's better than Headless Cross. I'm going to give it B tier. I'm going to be generous to it. And then we have the reunion album with Dio. Now, it's 1992. Metal had evolved. Metal is at both a peak and a valley. The mainstream had completely dropped off. But underground metal is just, it's amazing right now. Grunge is big, so like all the hair metal bands were gone at this point, like 90, 91, that's it, they're done. So 92, too soon for like there just wasn't any nostalgia for like the Dio years. Like Dio in the 80s now is getting an off time. So this album just does not land. Even though it's awesome. Even though it's just goddamn amazing. Opens up with Computer God. Dio being afraid of the future. Dead on. You were right, Dio. Computers suck. Then we got After All the Dead. It's this is the After All the Dead is like the doomy sound reinvented. Like they figured out how to be Black Sabbath again. Letters from Earth, another one. Slow plodding riff. Time Machine, good metal song. Like it's just the whole thing. The whole thing. It's going into the S tier bucket. Where does it land? It's number 2. That's where. It's Dehumanizer. Just crank it. Crank it on as loud as your speakers will go. Just Dehumanizer. So after that, what happens? Black Sabbath is going to do a reunion show with Ozzy, who was doing the No More Tours tour. This is 1992, right? Ozzy was going to retire. It's 92. Okay? You can see how that went. But then Dio was not going to open up for Ozzy, so he throws the middle fingers. He quits the band. Rob Halford comes in, legendary Rob Halford, sings for Sabbath in these opening when they opened for Ozzy. It was awesome. You can find that recording. And then the band moves on. Tony Martin comes back. They made up. We got Tony Martin, and they record Cross Purposes, this time with Geezer. The other Tony Martin albums did not have Geezer. After everything they learned from Dehumanizer, this was set to be awesome. And it was close. It was almost awesome. I could listen to it, and it's one of those things where I'm like, why isn't this just quite awesome? This came out in '94. Like I said, I was 14. I had just started getting into Sabbath and metal, and I picked up this album. So it's one of the first ones I heard. It's got a special place in my heart. How good is it? It's not quite A tier. We'll stick it here in B tier. Soon after they released Forbidden. Forbidden is inconsistent. A lot of boring songs. Last year, Tony released a remix that really sounded a lot better. The guitar sounded more like that doomy Sabbath guitar, but even the remix can't really save the album. It's just too much mediocre songwriting, too many boring tunes. The highlights are, it's 96. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. Forbidden, it's better than Born Again, but it's D tier. Then they released the album with Ozzy, 13, but I never listened to 13, so I can't comment on it. But 2009, the band that should have been Black Sabbath released the 4th Dio album, but they couldn't because Ozzy owned the name Black Sabbath at this point, which is kind of unforgivable. And they released this album, The Devil You Know. Should have been Black Sabbath. It's called Heaven and Hell, after the first album they made. Classic lineup. Tony and Geezer. Vinny Appice's playing drums. Dio singing. And what do I think about this album? I think they figured a lot of shit out. I think they really figured out how to sound like Sabbath. And they went and did it. And they were no longer following trends. They were just being Sabbath. S tier. This was the last album Dio made also. He died in 2010. And he sounds every bit as good on any other album. Amazing. So we got 7 S tier albums. That's kind of high praise right there. 2 terrible albums. 4 terrible albums. Definitely check out everything being above. All right. These are my opinions. You could flame me in the chat all you want. I don't care. Thanks for stopping by.